if you love my channel and would like to show your support, please click on the link below this video and become the patron of the Ushanka Show. For as little as $1, you can help us grow and create the new, interesting videos about the life in Soviet Union.
Hello, comrades, and welcome back to Ushanka Show. Здравствуйте, товарищи. Добро пожаловать на программу Ushanka Show. Well, today we're gonna talk about dating and relations between young and not young people in Soviet Union. This is the topic that was requested quite a few times. And now, since we're done with vacation in the USSR, we will talk about how the Soviet people date and how they had relations between man and a woman. And so this is the topic of our video today. But first of all, I would like you to watch this amazing short video. This is 1989. So Gorbachev is already at power. We already have perestroika and glasnost. And glasnost is like the openness. So this was a kind of fun period of life in Soviet Union. Life was still pretty decent, but now we were more open and we were learning more about other countries, including the United States. And this is actually a fragment from the show. We called it Telemost, so like a television bridge. So there was a satellite like live show, like we call it right now, televised bridge, televised TV show between Boston and Leningrad, which now it's called St. Petersburg. And people who I call old-timers, and I guess I'm pretty much getting close to be old-timer, probably would recognize maybe that the show, maybe someone was watching it at that time. It was really popular in Soviet Union, all these TV bridges where audience in Soviet Union was asking questions, audience back like in the United States. And in the United States, there was a famous TV anchor, Phil Donahue. I'm not sure if he's still alive or not, but he was running the show out of Boston. And famous Soviet anchor Vladimir Pozner, he was in Leningrad. So now watch this episode and we'll talk about it.
Я хотела бы сказать, что у нас в телерекламе все крутится вокруг секса. Есть ли у вас такая телереклама?
Секса у нас нет, и мы категорически против этого.
У нас есть, у нас нет рекламы.
Это ошибка.
So did you like it? I find it amazing. This is before meme was invented. This lady created the very first Soviet meme. There is no sex in Soviet Union. It became just so popular, you know, in conversation. If something start talking about sex or between, you know, something going on between your wife and you or your girlfriend, and somebody will just drop it. Well, there's no sex in Soviet Union. But yeah, this is what this lady did. She created the very first Soviet meme before the meme was the thing. There is no sex in Soviet Union. And it's funny, in the background, other lady corrected her. She's like, no, there is sex in Soviet Union. We just don't have advertising using, you know, sex appeal that sells sex type of thing. But the way that lady blurted out, what I think she was trying to say, that we don't have sex on TV. Other option in Soviet Union, and particularly in Russian language, like we borrow the English word sex, and the meaning is like something not clean. It's more like dirty. It's more like it's a pornography. You know, like when people love each other, they make love. If it's porn, then they have sex. So it was imported word from English language and didn't carry that same meaning like in English language. So that's kind of interesting. But There is no sex in Soviet Union. I probably should design a t-shirt and it might even sell. There is no sex in Soviet Union. The very first Soviet meme, or maybe the very first meme in the world, period. Okay, and on this fun note, now we will discuss how the people were dating and meeting each other back in the Soviet Union. I mean, there's really nothing that unusual circumstances. You know, you're thinking it's like I can tell you about my grandparents, my parents. So of course you subtract all the modern technologies, cell phones, online dating and all that stuff. Like my parents, they met in 1969, because they got married in 1970 and I was born in 1971. And in the cities and in the villages, like in the cities was popular places, so-called tanzplощadki, so it's like dance area, and usually in the summer there'll be somewhere in the park, there will be a band playing music, and girls come with their girlfriends and the guys show up and they hang out, check each other out, and then there's a slow music start playing. If you see some girl you kind of like, you just go invite her for a dance, and you dance, you talk, and if you like each other, then maybe you invite her for, to go for a date. And that's how my parents met on the dance floor in some park in Kiev. My grandparents on the mother's side, Grandpa Sergey and Maria, they met at the wedding. That's another quite popular and way of how people met would be at somebody else's wedding. And usually, we didn't have a like best man and whatever the ladies, like best woman or something. We'll have so-called witnesses. So you pick your best friend who is single as a witness, and he'll be signing papers, like he'll be a witness of your marriage, right? Because we didn't go to church at the wedding during the Soviet Union. And then, of course, the bride will have her best friend as a witness, and you pick single people. That's kind of like the unwritten rule that it should be your best friend and they should be single. And besides participating officially to sign the papers that they witnessed this marriage certificate, they also will be sitting next to, of course, just like in America, next to the groom and the bride. And one of the things they will, they constantly make groom and bride kiss during the wedding partying, like we have people drink and eat, the celebration. And they also will force, maybe not force, but they'll make best friends kiss each other too. So you'll be forced to kiss, they'll be the way they do. I think they do the same here in the United States. You start hitting with a spoon on your glass, and that loud clinking noise, it goes louder and louder. And in order to stop it, you need to kiss the other person. So, a guy start kissing a girl, and then maybe they like it, and then they start dating, and they get married. That's how my grandparents met each other at the wedding, but that was back in 1920s in the village in northern Ukraine. And I have a funny story about the wedding, because I was a best man, the witness here in the United States. A friend of mine got married, and there was kind of similar situation to mine. I was here, and I married my wife, and basically all my family, they couldn't come, and it was way too expensive, and it's a long, painful process to get visas, so I don't have any relatives on my side. So kind of same thing happened to my friend Alex. He, just like me, came to work in a summer camp, and then he met a girl, and they got married. So he invited me to be his witness, his best man. Even I was already married at that time, but he just had no one else. So it's like, okay, fine. So they made me to kiss the bride's girl at the wedding, and my wife wasn't happy when she found out about it. So, but it's, this is Russian tradition. I had to do it. I was forced. Also, quite a few friends of mine, they met at the parties, like when people gather to celebrate somebody's birthday. So, for example, a girl would invite her friends from her college, and then she tells her boyfriend, hey, can you bring a couple friends of yours? And then, you just celebrate the birthday. Then you meet the girls and you start talking, and then maybe you start dating. So I know several friends of mine that they met people that way at somebody's birthday party, or sometimes they had just a party, parents going out of apartment, and teenagers will get some alcohol, some music, and invite girls, and they can meet that way. So several friends met their future wives that. One of my cousins met his future wife at the construction site. Kind of interesting. It was quite popular. Well, not popular, but students were forced almost to go and help in construction. Like in this case, in the Ukraine, in the village where I grew up with my grandparents, they were building a cow farm. So they build this building where they keep the cows, and they just sent, 30 students from Chernigov Teachers College. And so these girls will help in with construction. That was kind of like it's a part of your education. You need to go and help at some Komsomol construction projects. And my cousin, so Uncle Misha, that artist that I told you about, who's in my videos before, that's his son. So he was just, spending his summer break in the village with my grandparents and his grandparents. And he met this girl who came from Chernigov to work on building this cow farm. And in the evening, they had dances at the club there, and that's how they met and started dating and ended up getting married. So that's another way you can meet a girl of your dreams on the construction site. Or actually, that was at the dance, but that's how she came to that village. And of course, we also had the situation like so-called high school sweethearts. I know one couple, they started dating in the 9th grade. In Soviet Union, I already told you, we had only 10 years school. So last year of high school, the 10th grade. It's a little bit kind of a silly way they end up getting married. They were dating, having sex, and someone told this guy that there's a specific position that girls don't get pregnant. So he started stop using condoms because they found this magic position, and girls got knocked up, got pregnant, and he had to marry her. So that's kind of high school sweetheart, but it was a marriage by accident. And also, of course, you can meet someone in college. While you're in college, another friend of mine, Dima, he went to Zaporozhye to study medicine in the local medical college, and that's where he met his future wife. So they're both doctors. So that's other way that people, I said, there's a lot of things, like nothing unusual really, how people met in Soviet Union and started dating. I knew another guy that actually met his future wife while being on vacation at the Black Sea. Now we're coming back to our vacation stories and spending time at the Black Sea. There just was a summer fling. They're just, having fun. And I guess they liked each other so much that after going back to their hometowns, she was from other town in Ukraine. They started corresponding, calling each other, and ended up getting married. So that's how people also, they can have just summer fling, summer romance, and it's end up in marriage. Of course, since not many people had their own cars, people use public transportation all the time, and there will be quite a few chances that you can meet someone on a bus or on a train, different circumstances. A lot of guys who are persistent, if they see a pretty girl, they just hit on her. So in the bus, you kind of stuck with staying next to the guy, especially if it's packed, and he start talking to you, and maybe you start liking him, and then you give him a phone number, or you agree for some dates. So I knew guys that met their future wives on the bus. Or for example, if you see a girl maybe carrying a heavy bag, you can offer her help to carry the bag with groceries to her apartment, start talking, and maybe start dating. I had actually an interesting situation, but at that time, I was already had a girlfriend, but I was on the subway like 9 p.m. or something, or 10 p.m. going to my girlfriend's place. And this girl approached me when I get off the subway station. She just approached me and politely asked if it's okay if I can walk her to her apartment. And that was kind of weird. I was like, why do you want me to do that? She's like, my parents have this rule and they're really strict that I need to be escorted by my boyfriend if I come home after 9 p.m. because they worry about me, being raped or whatever. So do you mind just kind of walk with me to my apartment? It's pretty close from here, and they just kind of hold my hands and we pretend like we're talking. You don't have to kiss me. It's like, oh no, really, thank God I don't have to kiss her. She was actually pretty. So that's what I did. I walked with her and we chatted, and then we stood, because she said my dad will be watching, so we stood in the front of this apartment building for a minute or two, kind of like had just pretending like we're talking. Then she said thank you so much, and she left. And then of course, if I'll be single, or maybe I'll try to say, hey, what about tomorrow? I can do the same thing again. So that's how people also could meet and start dating on a public transportation. And of course, when I start dating, there were pretty limited things you could do while dating, especially in 70s, like when my grandparents, or 60s when you date. You pretty much go for a walk in the park, or you go movies. That was a popular thing to do. There's not a lot of entertainment. Some people who had I don't know how to say correctly, like higher interest, they may go to theater, or ballet, watch something like that, or circus. But mostly there will be, you buy girlfriend ice cream, you go for a walk in the park, and then you maybe take her to the movies, or you go again to the dance area in the park, and then you dance. Also, they had these areas when the people had carousels, kind of like a little county fair, but there was a permanent installation, and you just take them there and they go for different rides. So that was pretty much what people did for dating. Maybe you go out of town, a small camping trip for a day, set up fire, cook something, do some fishing, stuff like that. So not much you really could do, because most people didn't have cars. But of course, if you had your own car, it's a totally different game, because you above anybody else. A lot of girls would be dating you because you have a car. It's so cool. Let's talk about sex, comrades. Okay, so of course, if we're talking about dating, we have to talk about sex. There's interesting, of course, there's different options. Some people had sex before marriage. A lot of people didn't, especially in 60s and 50s. And it's not even because of religion. It just, that was the thing, that you don't have sex before you get married. You're supposed to be a virgin. My parents both were virgins. I found it totally by accident, because when I started dating one lady, and my mom got disturbed because she was quite a bit older than me, and and I was a virgin that time. So then it was going on for about 3 or 4 months. So my mom became concerned. So she started kind of attacking, like, hey, you gotta quit. You had your fun. I'm still concerned, because if you meet some girl that you want to marry and she'll find out that you already had sex, you might lose her. You're not supposed to have sex before you get married. So I kind of got frustrated, and I turned to my dad and I was like, Dad, you were a virgin? Did you have sex with anybody before you met Mom? And he's like, no. So I was like, what? So a lot of people, they waited for to get married to have sex. Of course, to be kissing, maybe, touching each other, whatever. But there was no sex before marriage. But of course, later in the 80s and 90s, it became quite looser. Standards went down, I would say that. And, I have mixed feelings about this. It's kind of cool that you don't don't lose your virginity before marriage. But on the other hand, how do you find out if that person may be just, not compatible with each other, and then you're stuck for the rest of your life because, you couldn't have sex before you get married? And of course, there's this saying that no one will buy a cow if they get free milk. This kind of saying that we have in Russia and Soviet Union. So the mother tells the girl, hey, if you let the guy have a piece of ass, I apologize for my improper English, there's no reason for him to marry you, because he's getting free milk. Why he want to buy the whole cow? And it's kind of this thing. And I was dating once a girl, and it was a pretty short dating, but she was pretty open right away in the beginning that there'll be no sex till we get married. But I wasn't planning to marry her. So I was like, "Okay, we don't want to waste each other time." Like I like her, like she was fun to date, but she wasn't definitely not the type of the wife that I was looking for. Like for me, it's important if the girl knows how to cook and she likes to cook. And that chick, I don't think she even knew where the kitchen located in her apartment. Like mom was taking care of everything. She never cooked, so I was like, I don't know if I really want to get in that type of relation. So I was like, okay, I really respect her for her being that strict and, no sex before marriage, but I really don't want to spend time, dating sex free if I'm not going to marry that girl. So quite a few people didn't have sex, before marriage back in the Soviet Union. As to age, I would say, girls, they kind of started usually earlier than guys dating. So probably they start dating 15, 14, 16. Some will probably start having intercourse around 16, 17. There'll be quite often situation, of course, that, they dating, they in love, but then, of course, a guy gets drafted, since we had a draft in Soviet Union, and it's a 2-year if you get into army, or 3 years if you get Soviet Navy, and that's, of course, would be a lot of drama. You say goodbye to your girlfriend, and then you're gone for 2 years, and quite often, girl can't wait that long, so she'll start dating somebody else, falls in love, and then you come back and your ex-girlfriend already married to someone else. Sometimes they would wait, so there's another kind of love drama in Soviet Union is waiting for your boyfriend to come back from service. And there's I remember there was some kind of, I think it was in a magazine, it was already like late 80s when there was more openness and they started talking about sex. So this girl wrote the letter asking a question. She's like, I'm waiting for my boyfriend to return from army service. And, I'm strict, so we didn't have sex with my boyfriend because I want to be a virgin when I get married. And it's really hard to wait for a whole 2 years. So I'm dating other guys, and of course, guys want to have some fun. So I give them blowjobs, but I don't let them have sex because I'm keeping myself as a virgin for my guy when he comes back and we get married. And the doctor the psychologist or someone, they was like, "Oh my God, I don't know what to say. This is just ridiculous." The fact that you think you're so keeping your innocence by performing oral sex on other guys while you're waiting for your main boyfriend, so you get married and then you give him your innocence. So that was a quite interesting situation. So anyway, so this is what a short story, kind of short snippet about dating and relations between young men and the women in the Soviet Union. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any more questions, please post on this video. And as always, don't forget to put like. And thank you so much for everyone who supports me through patreon.com. We'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.